Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So once again, go for the company. So home page is discussed in the previous video. So the second part is company snapshot. Click on the company snapshot. It has three parts: company, customer, company, payments, and customers. First of all, click on the company. So on the company, most of the things that we have discussed under the homepage are available under this one as well. For example, income and expenses trends, you can check it out, right? For example, account balances that we have seen and in the homepage also is available here. For example, balance of different account payables, balance of account receivable, balance of different liabilities, assets, and so on that we have, account of bank account balance, and so on. All of this can be checked from here, right? Balance of different accounts. And of course, below you can see the expenses breakdowns. For example, out of total expenses of this year, how many or how much is belong to cost of goods sold, how much is belong to the second expenses, the next, and so on. So this is a sort of breakdown of the expenses that also we have seen in the previous video under the homepage as well. Then of course, the next part is the previous income comparisons. Also, we have seen in the previous video. Top customers we have discussed in the previous video is the same under as we have discussed under the homepage. Previous year income comparisons also we have seen it. Customer who owe money, right? It shows those customers who owe money to the business. For example, so these are the list of the customers who are owed to the business, It means so they have account receivable to the business. And those who have shown with the red color, it means they are outstanding. So they are overdue basically. So it means they have not paid within the specific date. So that is why they are shown with the red color, right? So this was the information regarding the homepage, all that we have discussed in the previous video. Then click on the payment. Click on the payment. So several good informations are available here. So quick links, receive payments, the same thing which we have done under the company under receive payment, also you can receive from here. Create sales receipt, the same thing that we have done under the customer, we can do from here as well. The same thing with credit and refunds. Quickly accessible to this area is basically after this, invoice payment status. This year, also you can change the timing. For example, if it is this year, what do you mean by this one? So the green color show that this invoice are paid within this year. So it means this much invoice are paid, and this is the amount that is paid. And the blue part show that this much or this part is not paid. For example, if you can see, if you put the cursor on this, also it show that, for example, $822,081 not paid. And how much is paid? 2,790,660.77 dollars are paid. So the paid part or the unpaid part are basically can be shown from here. Not only for this fiscal year, also you can see it for this month, for example. For this month, there is no data. You can check, for example, for this quarter. For this quarter, this part is the paid part and this part is the unpaid part, right? So if you want to check that, how was the payment and received of invoice within this quarter? So in this quarter, most of the invoice are unpaid and some part is basically paid. The green part is a paid part. But if you want to check for this year itself, most of the invoices are paid, right? Now let us receive some invoices. Now the unpaid part is equal to how much, for example? Unpaid part is equal to 822,000, something like that. Now let us receive some of the invoices. Receive some of the invoice, receive payments. For example, no, leave this one. Select a customer which have more balance, for example. Receive this one, this one as well, right? Is there any change? Yeah, there is any change, right? So there is only this much invoice unpaid. So the paid part basically increased. So this was the information regarding this one. Now let us go on the right side. This part is very important. Consumer balances. How much customers are overdue to the business? You can click on the summary as well as you can click on details. If you click on details, it provides more information. But if you click on the summary, it provides the short information. Click on the summary. Then click on the all. If all is not available, you can see the balance of different customers. For example, Abdul Latif. Job 1 pending and so on, how much overdue. Ought know how much is overdue and so on. If the balance is negative, it means that we have to pay for these customers, they have credit to the business. If the balance is positive, it means they have to pay to the business. So these are the customers that they have to pay for the business, right? Those which they have negative balance, it means we have to pay for these customers. Why? Because they have credit to the business, right? These are the information. If you click on details, okay, snapshot. If you click on details, that it provides much more detailed information. See, regarding job 1, it also provide that why this much is, for example, overdue, or this much, why this much is payable by this job. For example, regarding, we can say Otana. If Otana is this much payable, why this much is payable? If BB is payable, why they are payable? This is because of this one, because of this one, and this one. So it basically it break down the transactions. But if you click on the summary basically show the total only, right? So summary and detail. Then account receivable aging. Click on account receivable aging summary. What do you mean by this one? Click this year, this fiscal year. Basically, it shows the customers, and also the second part is current. Then from 31 to from 1 to 30, from 31 to 60, from 61 to 90, above 90. What do you mean by this one? What do you mean first by current? Current simply means that these customers are not overdue. It means still they have time to pay for the business. It means these customers are not overdue. Overdue simply means that still they have time. For example, we have sold something for the customers and they promise to pay within the next 30 days. It still does, this 30 days are not over. These 30 days are not over. Still they have time. So those customers which they have time still, so they basically can be grouped under the current. What do you mean by 1 to 30? It means if the customers become overdue from 1 day to 30 days, it become in this group. If customers become overdue from 31 days to 60 days, they become in this group. If customers become overdue from 61 to 90 days, above 90, it become in this one. So this is basically at the interval of 30 days. Also, you can increase the interval. Let us say, for example, you want to increase the interval into 60 days, right? And also let us, for example, make this one as 180. Now let us see. From 1 to 60, 61 to 120, 121 to 180, and above. Above how much? Above 180. So this is the classification of the customers. Now let us say something for that particular customer. Now let us sell, for example, something to Farouk and consider it as current period. Sell something, create an invoice for Farouk. Where's Farouk? Farouk. Sell something, for example, let us say we want to sell keyboard. How many keyboard? For example, 100 keyboard. How much is the price of each? For example, total become 1,10,000, right? The timing is today. Okay, fine. So this Farouk become basically under this section. See, there is no balance under Farouk, but we have sold those things for Farouk, right? Why this is so? Because the date is wrong. So make today's date. If you make today's date, today is the June, July, August, right? Today is the 2nd August. Click on this one, then click on refresh. Now you can see some balance under Farouk, and this is belong to the current period. Also now you can see some balances regarding the B and so on. Why this balance were not shown in the previous section or the previous part which we have checked? Because the date was wrong. So that is why there was no balance. Now let's check for some other customers. For example, let's say for example for Zio there is no balance on the current period, right? Now create an invoice. For Zio there was no invoice on the current, right? Let us say, for example, whatever we sell, let us say the quantity is 100. We want to sell book, for example. How much become the total? Total became 33,000. Date is fine, okay. Then save and close. Now for Zio you can see, you can find out the balance. Now let us make some customer overdue by we can say 31 days, around 180 days. How we can make a customer overdue? Basically, the customers become overdue automatically, but in order to test it, if you want to check that, how can you do it? So you can do it in this way. Let us say, for example, first of all, let us check a customer, whether they have overdue or not. For example, for Ziogol, right? Again, let us do for Ziogol. There is no overdue balance from 121 up to 180 days. Balance is 0. Now let us create a balance for this customer. Create an invoice. Select the customer, for example, Ziogol. Select the quantity, for example. Let us make it 10 only. Which item we want to sell? For example, we want to sell battery. And the price of each is, for example, 3,000, right? Total become equal to this much. If you want to make a customer overdue, then you have to change the date, right? So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and 5 months, right? So collect this one. Then save it, save and close. Now, see there's a balance for those customers from 121 to 180 days, right? So in this way, the customer become overdue. But in this example, I made it, or we can say deliberately, I made the customer overdue. But in the normal case of the business, when the customer do not pay within the specific date, so if they pay, if they have time to pay, they become in this period. If they do not pay from 1 to 60 days, so they become in this group, from 161 to 120 in this group, and so on. So this is the total of customers. So this much customers are overdue within above 180 days, and this is for the 121 and this and so on. In this way, you can check the balance. So save and close this part. This was regarding aging. Then sales by customers. You can check that, for example, how much we sold for each customers, not the balance of the customers. Just you can check how much we sold for each customer. Then click on this one. This month, not for this month. You can check for all, for this month, and so on, right? So even you can check for this fiscal year, for example. For this fiscal year, we sold for Abdul Latif. This much is the total for Abdul Latif. How much we sold for Autono, how much we sold for this one, this one, this one, and so on. The top customers also basically selected based on this one. How much we sold for each of them, you can check it from here itself, right? So where is Khotra? See, Khotra, a balance of equal to how much? 9 lakh, something like that. So this is the top customer. So that is why it was in the top in the previous section. You can see how much is the balance. If you want to click on the detail, then you can find out more information. For example, if you want to click on this detail, then it shows the invoice as well for each customer. For example, click, for example, this fiscal year. See, for Abdul Latif, job 1, if there is this much balance, why this much balance? It shows the invoice as well, several this part. It is a breakdown of the total amount of invoice. Then you can check, for example, deposit details. Click on deposit. And of course, change the date, this fiscal year. How much deposit we had, for example, right? All those deposits and so on basically can be checked from here. From January to December 2020. Deposit details, how much deposit we made. Either deposit is made through the bank section, or otherwise deposit is made through the general journal entry, right? So all of them are basically shown here. You can check it out. This is it. Or otherwise, some deposits are made from use register. All of them can be checked from here. Then after that, you can check the unpaid, unbilled cost by jobs. What do you mean by unbilled cost by jobs? Unbilled cost by jobs simply means that we have done something for the customers, but it is not billed yet. It means those expenses which are incurred for the customers, but invoices are not created, or bills are not created yet. For example, you sold something for the customers for amount of 10,000. Transaction is made, but bill is not created that. So this can be called as unbilled cost by jobs. Right now we have only two bills which are unbilled, two parts which are unbilled, and this is for whom? For Umedjan. How we can create this one? Now let us create for one more for the next vendor. How we can create it? Create it from enter bill, right? Select a supplier, for example, a legal. Which item we want to? For example, keyboard. How much keyboard we want to purchase from a legal? For example, we want to purchase 100 keyboard, right? For example, let us purchase a few more items. For example, let us say we want to purchase mouse. How much? For example, 200 mouse. These are the items that we have to purchase from a legal, and for that purpose, we have to enter a bill. If you remember in the previous videos, we have discussed, sometimes if you want to purchase something from the supplier, directly you can charge to the customers. directly you can charge to the customers, and that is why we can select the customers from here as well. Let us say, for example, we want to select Rahima. Also, we want to select, for example, one more customer by the name of Mariam, right? So it means we purchased from Ali Gul and we have directly charged to whom? To Rahima. So this is the amount, this is the amount. For one, it is, for example, 25. For the next one, it is 6 lakhs. 7 close. Now we have unbilled for Rahima as well as we have unbilled for whom? We have unbilled for this one for Mariam. How can you build this one? If you want to build this one, then for this purpose, you have to go for the customers, click on the invoice, then click on the particular customer, for example, Mariam. Then QuickBooks show that, so there is, for example, choose billable time and expenses, billable time and cost. It means this customer has billable expenses. So click on this one, right? Then convert it into the invoice. It means expenses are incurred, but bills are not made yet. So now you can make a bill for that. So then save and close. No need for this. Save and close. Now, Mariam is available? No, but Rahima is still available. You can make bill for this one as well, for Rahima. Go for the invoice. Select Rahima. Where's Rahima? Rahima. QuickBook again show that there is a payment available. Then you can click on this one. So it means expenses are incurred, but bills are not made yet. So we have to bill or create the bill for the customer. Then save and close. And take this mail, then save and close. Now, do we have, we can say transaction for Rahima? No, but still we have for Umejan, right? If you want to create for Umejan as well, then click on the invoice, then select Mr. Umaid. So QuickBooks show that there is a balance available. Click on both of them, then click on the time as well, right? Then now save it. Okay, and take this part, save and close. Now, do we have unbilled cost by jobs? No, we don't have it, right? So that is why it show that unbilled cost show that how much expenses are incurred for the customers, but bills are not made yet, right? This was the case. Aging account receivable by aging period, it show that. For example, in this case, most of the balance are in the current period. After that, it is on the second from 1 to 30 days. After that, and so on. Recent transactions. What are the recent transactions in the case of your company, right? So recent transaction for each customer. For Khatra, this is the sales. For Abdulatif, the payment. Recent transaction for Mariam, payment. Recent transaction for Farouk, payment. Recent transaction for Ihsanullah, also with payment, right? So these are the sort of information that you can see from here. Customers who owe money. Again, you can find out this sort of information. Which customers are owe money to the business? For example, Umaid and this on. Those they have with the red color, it means they are overdue. But those who do not have overdue, it means they have account payable to the business, but still they haven't paid it yet. Payment reminder, what do you mean by this one? It's see the information. Money to deposit. How much money is still or available for deposit? 21 or to deposit. Then click on this one, you can see those payments. These are the amounts of payments that you can pay. How many deposits? 21 deposit. Also, you can check it from the company, right? Click on make deposit. How many of them are available? 21 of them are available. 21. Now let us make some payments out of it. Deposit some of them. Now, for example, 7 close. Now check that. How many? Money to deposit, 15 money to deposit, and this is the balance. Invoice overdue. How much is overdue? 21 is overdue. If you want to see, for example, from whom it is overdue, then you can see those balance as well. Click on this one, for example. These are the list of the customers which they are overdue, right? This is the case. And then invoice and credit memo to print. How many is still are waiting for the print? So these are waiting for the print. You can see the details as well. So these are the information that you can check it. And at the last, you can click on the next part, which is called customers. Here you can select a particular customer. For example, we have selected Khatra. Then you can find the detailed information regarding Khatra. For example, number of years as a customer. So this is our customer for the last 3 months. Average day to pay. Khatra pay within how many days? Usually our money remain with Khatra within how many days? Within 20 22.3 days. It means if we sell something for Khadra, usually Khadra on average basis pay within how many days? Khadra pay within how many? 22.2 days, right? So also rest of the information, opening balance. How much was the opening balance of this customer? For example, this is the opening balance. Credit limit for example, for this customers, there is no credit limit. Also, we can create a credit limit. How we can create a credit limit? Go for the customer center. Then click on the particular customer, for example, for Hotra, right? Double click on this one. Then you can provide a credit limit. Let us say, for example, a credit limit is equal to 2 million, for example. How much? 2 million. Then save and close. Then it shows the credit limit for the customers. How much is the credit limit for Khotra? For example, 2 million. Sales summary, this year to date. It means from the beginning of this year up to this date. Total sales is basically this much. Total sales for the same period last year. Last year there was no sales. Why last year there was no sales? Because we have created this company. We have created okay, sorry for disturbance. So it means we have created this company this year. So that is why for the last year there is no balance. Recent transactions. What are the recent transactions for Khosra? If you want to check that, for example, how many transactions were made and what are the recent transactions? So these are the recent transactions. Recent payments. What are the recent payments that we have received? So these are the recent payments. Now let it receive one more payment from Khosra, for example, if it is available. And then you can see that payment as well. Select Khosra, for example. Khosra is available or not? Yes. The recent payment is, for example, 69,000. How much? 69. Receive and close. Now let us see the recent payments. Recent payment is equal. Yeah, 2 days debt, and that is equal to how much? 69,000, right? So in this way, you can find out the information. Sales history. Sales history, for example, based on the year. You can check based on the year, based on the month, based on the quarter, and so on. For example, if you want to check based on the year, so you can find out information in this way. For example, let us check based on the month. Based on the month. If you check based on the month, on April, on May, there is no sales. On June, on July, and of course, why this is December, basically. It's still, it is not December, but basically we have sold while creating the invite, so we have changed the date. So that is why it's show for the December as well, right? But in most of the case, we check it based on the yearly basis. This is for 2019 and this is for 2020. Best selling items. Which items are sold much more for this customer, right? So for example, RAM is sold more. Then, for example, book is sold, and then this, and so on. Then you can check, for example, for the next customer, for example, for Altana, for example, the balance of the transaction, the send payments, and so on. There is no much more transaction. Let us say, for example, Ziogol, right? For Ziogol, for example, Ziogol is the new customer, and for example, average day is 0, everything is 0. So let us check the next customer. For example, let us check Marwa Jan. Marwa is customer from the last 30 days. This is opening balance, it is negative, credit limit, and so on. An average payday is this much. So like this, you can find out all information regarding the particular customers. Once again, I'm going to go for this previous customer that was Khatra, right? Click on Khatra. See, average day to pay basically can be increased or can decrease. If customer quickly pay, this balance decrease. If customer pay late, this balance decrease, right? See, previously it was 22 something, now it is 21. Now let us receive a payment from the customers. If I receive a payment from the customer, this number of day decrease. Why? As much as customer pay quickly, this is less. As much as customer pay late, this one increase, right? So now let us receive a payment. Receive a payment again from Khotra. Definitely the balance, definitely that date decrease. Select Khotra, for example. Yes. Uh, Remove this part. 1 lakh is available. Okay. Receive only this two. Okay. Receive all of them. Leave it. Now, number of the decrease 21 point, something like that, right? Again, if you increase, let us do one thing. Let us create an invoice once again. Create an invoice for Khotra. sell something. Let us say, for example, the quantity is 100. We want to sell, for example, battery, and the price of each battery is, let us say, for example, 3,000, right? The total invoice became 3 lakh something. Okay, 3 lakh is more. Let us make it 2,000, right? Now it is 2 lakh 30,000. Let us change the date. If you change the date, for example, we can say April. Definitely that number of day increase. Save this one. Number of day increase. Not increase yet. Okay, not increase yet. Now let us receive this payments. Let us receive this payment to check it out. Receive the payment from Ultra. Now the balance change or increase to how much? 27 days. Why? Because this we have created this invoice. We can say in the month of April, something like that, and this balance was overdue for more than 3 or 4 months. So that is why that invoice basically increased the bill. Now, if I create an invoice and quickly I receive it back, so in that case, this balance will decrease again, right? So that is why it is the average number of days that our money remain with the customers. So this was a good information. So regarding the company, regarding the payments, as well as regarding the customer.